Everyone. Let's talk about something we've all been told at some point, that marriage is a 50/50 deal, a partnership where both people give exactly half and meet in the middle. It sounds fair, right? Logical even. But here's the truth. Marriage is never 50/50, and believing it should be can quietly wreck the very thing we're trying to build. Some days you walk through the door with 80% to give. You're energized, patient, ready to pour into your partner. Other days, you're dragging in with 15%, barely holding it together. And that's where real love lives, not in the perfectly balanced equation, but in the messy, beautiful space where we show up anyway. Marriage isn't about splitting things down the middle. It's about knowing what's in the tank, yours and theirs. It's about asking, where are we today? What do we need, instead of keeping score? Because love isn't a transaction, it's a practice. So here's the uncomfortable but liberating truth. Marriage isn't 50/50, it's 100/100, just not always at the same time. And the secret isn't perfect balance, it's trust, grace, and the willingness to carry each other when needed. When the time we're young, we're taught that fairness is about splitting things evenly, half for you, half for me. It's a clean, simple equation that makes sense until you try to apply it to a relationship. The idea that marriage should always be 50/50 sounds logical, even comforting. It suggests balance, predictability, and a sense of justice. But real life doesn't work like that, and neither does marriage. The problem with the 50/50 mindset is that it assumes both people will always be able to contribute equally at the same time. It creates an invisible scoreboard where we keep mental tallies of who did what, who sacrificed more, and who's falling behind. And when one person inevitably has less to give because of stress, exhaustion, illness, or life just being life, the imbalance can feel unfair. Resentment starts to creep in, not because love is absent, but because expectations were set on a foundation that was never realistic to begin with. Marriage isn't a contract where both partners agree to bring exactly half. Some days you might be able to give 70% while your partner can only manage 30%. Other days, the roles reverse. There will be seasons where one of you carries more, whether it's emotionally, financially, or physically. And if you're stuck believing that anything less than 50/50 means something is broken, you'll start to see natural fluctuations as failures instead of the normal rhythm of a shared life. The truth is, if we get too caught up in the idea that marriage should always be perfectly fair, we miss what marriage is really about. It's not about keeping score. It's about stepping up when the other person is struggling and trusting that they'll do the same for you. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much we love someone, there will be days, weeks, even seasons where we just don't have it in us to meet them halfway. Some days you'll come home feeling drained from work, carrying the weight of deadlines, expectations, and exhaustion. Other days, it's your partner who's running on empty, overwhelmed by stress, illness, grief, or just the sheer mental load of keeping everything together. In those moments, the expectation of 50/50 feels impossible. But here's the thing. Those moments don't mean something is wrong. They don't mean the relationship is failing or that one person isn't trying hard enough. They mean you're human. Expecting both partners to contribute equally at all times isn't just unrealistic, it's unsustainable. There will be days when you show up with 80% to give and your partner barely has 20% left in them. And there will be times when the roles are reversed. The key is not in demanding that the other person rise to meet you at exactly halfway, but in recognizing where they are and adjusting with compassion. This is where many relationships get stuck. When we believe our partner's rough season is a sign of imbalance instead of simply part of the natural ebb and flow of life. Marriage isn't about splitting the load evenly every single day. It's about being flexible enough to carry more when your person can't, and trusting that when the time comes, they'll do the same for you. The truth is, fairness in marriage doesn't mean equal effort at all times. It means a shared understanding that some days you'll need to give more and some days you'll need to lean in and receive. And that's okay. In a perfect world, we'd always have enough energy, patience, and love to give our partner exactly what they need. But in real life, we're constantly running on different levels of emotional, mental, and physical energy. Some days you wake up feeling full, ready to take on the world. You're patient, generous, and able to pour into your relationship without hesitation. Other days, you wake up feeling like you're running on fumes, barely holding yourself together. This is why one of the most important habits in a healthy relationship is checking the tank, both yours and your partner's. It's easy to assume that our partner should always just know how we're feeling. But the reality is, no one is a mind reader. If we don't communicate where we're at emotionally and mentally, we can end up expecting things from each other that simply aren't possible in that moment. That's where resentment starts to creep in, not because we don't love each other, but because unspoken expectations can make even the strongest relationships feel unfair. Imagine walking into the house after a long day. You're at 20%, exhausted, drained, and needing a break. But your partner, who's also had a long day, is hoping for a deep conversation, support with a problem, or just some quality time together. If neither of you take the time to check in and acknowledge where you are, the night could end in frustration instead of connection. A simple but powerful practice in relationships is taking a moment to ask each other, where's your tank at today? Maybe you're at 80% and can step up a little more. Maybe you're barely at 10% and need some grace. Either way, having this awareness helps both partners adjust expectations and support each other better. When we stop expecting each other to always be at full capacity and instead honor the reality of where we're at, we create a space where love can thrive without the pressure of perfection. One of the biggest traps in marriage is keeping score, mentally tracking who did what, who contributed more, and who's falling short. It often starts innocently. I cooked dinner, so you should do the dishes. Or I got up with the baby last night, so it's your turn tonight. At first, it feels fair, but over time, this kind of transactional thinking can quietly shift the relationship from a place of generosity to a place of quiet resentment. The problem with scorekeeping is that it assumes everything in a marriage can be measured evenly, when in reality, not all effort looks the same. Just because one person contributes in one way doesn't mean their partner isn't contributing in another, often invisible way. Maybe one of you is handling more of the emotional labor, remembering birthdays, planning meals, managing the family calendar, while the other takes on more physical tasks like fixing things around the house or managing finances. When we start keeping score, we risk undervaluing the things we don't see. Scorekeeping also assumes that both people are always operating at the same capacity, which simply isn't true. Life is unpredictable. Some days one person has more energy to give than the other. Some weeks one partner might be struggling more emotionally. Instead of rigidly tracking contributions, strong couples focus on open communication, checking in with each other, asking what's needed, and recognizing that balance doesn't always mean splitting things down the middle. And that's when things the shift from scorekeeping to communication requires vulnerability. It means being honest when you're overwhelmed instead of expecting your partner to notice. It means expressing gratitude for what your partner does instead of focusing on what they don't. It's about creating a dynamic where both people feel seen and valued, not because they're constantly proving their worth, but because they trust that their effort is recognized and appreciated. If there's one thing that can make or break a marriage, it's grace. The ability to offer understanding, patience, and forgiveness, even when things aren't perfect. Love isn't just about the good days when everything is easy and effortless. It's about how we respond to each other on the hard days, when we're tired, when we mess up, when we fall short of expectations. At some point, your partner is going to disappoint you. They're going to forget something important. They're going to say the wrong thing or not say anything when you really needed them to. They're going to have bad moods, bad habits, bad moments. And so will you. The question isn't if these things will happen, it's how you'll respond when they do. This is where grace comes in. Grace is choosing to believe that your partner is trying, even when they fall short. It's recognizing that they are human, just like you, and that their mistakes don't define their love for you. It's the ability to step back and say, this isn't perfect, but I know your heart. Without grace, every mistake becomes a battle. Every forgotten errand, every stressed out tone of voice, every rough moment turns into something bigger than it needs to be. Resentment builds, and before long, the relationship starts to feel more like a scorecard of failures rather than a partnership built on love and trust. But when grace is present, there is room for imperfection. There is room to say, I know you're not at your best today, and that's okay. There's room for forgiveness, for patience, for understanding that love is bigger than any single moment of failure. Offering grace doesn't mean ignoring problems or accepting harmful patterns. It doesn't mean we don't have boundaries or expectations. What it does mean is that we extend the same understanding we would want in return. It means that instead of assuming the worst, we assume our partner's intent is good. That if they had more to give in that moment, they would. It means letting go of small grievances in favor of seeing the bigger picture, that a marriage is built over years, not single days, and that what we choose in the hard moments shapes the foundation of our love. We tend to think of love as a feeling, something that happens naturally when we're with the right person. In the early stages of a relationship, love feels effortless. It's exciting, passionate, and full of energy. But as time goes on, something shifts. The rush of infatuation settles, responsibilities pile up, and life gets in the way. Suddenly, love doesn't just happen on its own. It requires effort, intention, and commitment. This is where so many people get stuck. They assume that if love isn't effortless anymore, something must be wrong. But the truth is, love isn't something you just have. It's something you consistently do. It's not a one-time promise. It's a daily practice. Practicing love means choosing each other over and over again, even on the hard days. It means showing up when it would be easier to withdraw. It means expressing appreciation, even when you assume your partner already knows how you feel. It means offering patience when they're short-tempered and listening when they need to be heard. The key word here is practice, because no one gets it right all the time. Some days we show up fully and love comes easily. Other days we're tired, distracted, or caught up in our own struggles. But just like any practice, whether it's learning an instrument, playing a sport, or mastering a skill, the more we commit to it, the stronger and more natural it becomes. Loving your partner is not about grand gestures or sweeping romantic moments, though those are nice too. It's about the small, consistent acts that build trust and connection over time. It's remembering their coffee order. It's reaching for their hand in a quiet moment. It's checking in when you know they're having a tough day. It's choosing patience when you could choose frustration. It's understanding that love isn't about how you feel in a single moment. It's about how you choose to show up day after day. The healthiest relationships are not made up of people who magically stay in love. They're made up of people who work at it, prioritize it, and refuse to let love be something passive. Because at the end of the day, love isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. We've all heard the saying that marriage is 50/50, a partnership where both people contribute equally, meet in the middle, and share responsibilities in a perfectly balanced way. It sounds logical, it sounds fair, but here's the truth. Marriage doesn't work like that. It was never meant to. A strong marriage isn't about each person bringing exactly half of themselves to the table. It's about both people showing up with everything they have, even if what they have looks different from day to day. Some days your 100% might be strong, confident, and full of energy. Other days your 100% might be exhausted, struggling, and barely holding on. But what matters is that both partners commit to bringing their fullest, most honest selves to the relationship, no matter what that looks like. The problem with the 50/50 mindset is that it assumes balance is always possible. It suggests that love is a transaction, that if one person gives 50%, the other should give exactly 50% in return. But real relationships don't work on fixed percentages. Life is unpredictable. Stress, work, kids, health, grief, and everyday challenges mean that perfect balance is rare, if not impossible. Some days one of you might be carrying 80% while the other can only manage 20%. Some seasons one person is in survival mode while the other has to step up. And that's okay. That's normal. The healthiest relationships are built on the understanding that partnership is not about splitting things equally. It's about showing up fully. It's about knowing that when you're at your weakest, your partner will be there to carry more. And when they're struggling, you'll do the same. It's about trust, the kind of trust that says, I don't expect you to always have it all together, but I do expect you to keep showing up. 100/100 means that instead of focusing on who's giving more or less, both partners are committed to giving what they can, when they can, in the best way they can. It's not about being perfect. It's not about keeping score. It's about two people who are all in, fully invested. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. So here's the truth. Marriage isn't about keeping score, finding perfect balance, or expecting things to always be fair. It's about showing up fully, honestly, and wholeheartedly, even when life makes it hard. It's about recognizing that love isn't measured in percentages, but in presence, effort, and grace. Some days you'll carry more, some days your partner will. And that's not a failure. It's the beauty of a real partnership. The goal isn't 50/50, it's 100/100. With the understanding that some days one person's 100% might look very different from the others. Marriage isn't about perfection or keeping everything even. It's about the daily choice to support, trust, and lift each other up. It's about the willingness to say, I've got you today, and I know you'll have me when I need it. Because in the end, love isn't something we divide, it's something we give completely.